right, folks, I am here at the Astra Here to Stay conference doing an episode of the Accommodation Show. We are here, we are live with Hayden D'Arcy from Home Hero. I wasn't sure whether I would say Home Hero or Home Shore, but all the homes, he is part of it. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bob. Hello, everyone.
It's a real privilege to have you on the show. I know that you've been at the helm, or part of the helm, of Home Hero, of Home Shore, and you guys have been in the business of short-term rentals for quite a long time. But I also came out of no vacancy roughly around about 3 weeks ago, and we're having a bit of a chat, and you're like, hey, Bart, I sold my property management business, and my jaw dropped. I was like, you did what? And it really creates a fantastic topic for us to talk about, because we do a series called Building It, where we talk to people about how they've built their businesses, got from where they were to where they are, and how they did it, and then hopefully impart some advice or some knowledge for people to be able to take it on their journeys in terms of what they're doing next. So, first off, congrats on the sale.
Thank you.
Congrats on the success with all the businesses. I'm sure there's a lot more that I don't know about yet that maybe we'll learn about today. But do me a favor and tell me a little bit about two sides. One is the technology side, and then two is what was the property management side for you?
Sure. So I used to work in the technology side before Home Hero, before I started the holiday rental management business. I learned a lot from the technology in the accommodation space. When I was at that technology company, I noticed a bit of a gap in Australia where the holiday rental market wasn't really being looked after from a technology perspective. I also started to fall in love with what the industry is and what it does, and found it really interesting that, if you know enough about accommodation, you can pretty much start with nothing and really build it up. It's not a bricks and mortar type business. We have to have some sort of backing or some funds and buy some business,
Sure.
An office space and everything like that. You can really just start with your knowledge and then really build from there. So I found that really interesting. So my wife and I both left that technology company and decided it was as something we really wanted to try and get into. And we started very, very old school. We went on Gumtree.
Right.
So advertising on Gumtree, we're a holiday rental business. We can take care of your holiday home on the Gold Coast.
Wow.
And we got our first and second client basically straight off the bat on Gumtree.
From Gumtree.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Were you targeting a particular area?
So we just basically went real estate in the category, and then targeted Gold Coast. We'd take whatever we could. We just wanted to get a foot in the door, basically.
And how long was this?
This would be back in 2015.
Okay.
And interestingly,
so that's actually not that long ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So again, we were rookies ourselves to the whole industry, but I knew enough about it from that old technology company in the accommodation space.
Yeah.
So we basically started doing that. Once we knew one or two people, we learned a lot of lessons. It's really funny, actually. I just got into a car accident the day before I meant to meet our first client.
Right.
And we were so nervous, and we had our shirts embroidered with our brand. We had our checklists and our checkboards, and we basically walked in like we knew everything that we needed to know. So that the owner felt comfortable, basically.
Sure.
The reason why I brought up the car accident was we had to drive our beat up wrecked car to the property, park it around the corner so they didn't see it. Then we walked up and knocked on the door. And that went really, really well, because we knew that we needed information for that owner. That owner felt comfortable that we were asking the right questions for them.
Sure.
And so we're ticking off the boxes and asking how many bedrooms there are, walking through, going, oh, yep, we'll add that to this.
Amazing.
And then walked around the corner, drove in our beat up wrecked car around the corner again, and drove home.
That's such a cool story. And
yeah,
I think it's really surprising that, people think that there's some sort of magical way or some, if you look online at the influencers, they'll tell you that, if you follow this proven system, you're going to get leads and that sort of thing. But, it's just about a bit of creativity, a bit of ingenuity, and just minding your P's and Q's, right? And knowing that turning up to the front door with a beat up car probably isn't going to elicit a lot of trust when someone's entrusting you with their most valuable asset that they own in their life, right?
Yeah.
So no, that sort of thing. So if we go back, so you were still in the other job at the tech company, or what was the...
No, so I left that tech company. I'd started that holiday rental side of the business with my wife.
Yeah.
Around that same time, through my connections.
So you quit before you had a new income stream?
I did. We took a big leap. And I had enough connections and friends in the industry from that company that I worked for.
Yeah, gotcha.
Which actually ties me into my next point, which was I then reached out to a lot of people that I knew from the technology company that I worked at, and some of those people were became the founders of Home here along with myself. So, Robert Jeffress, obviously, who used to be chairman on the Astra board.
Yeah.
Very, very, very knowledgeable, friendly guy. He helped me fill a lot of the financial gaps where I'd actually consult for his holiday rental businesses. So that gave us an income stream that kept us
going,
paying the rent and keeping things moving while we worked really hard on building our own holiday rental business. So we very slowly over 6 months just really finessed and fine-tuned what we are doing wrong. We didn't know how to properly manage our cleaning fees, so we lost a lot of money on linen. It was a bit of a mess, but it was such a big learning curve that it's such a valuable one that we realized that there's not much out there at the moment, technology-wise, that's helping us to make sure that money's accounted for, to make sure that this availability is updated in all the channels. We'd always get double bookings, and so those are the biggest challenges we're facing with our own growth within the property management business. And that kind of sparked these conversations we had with Rob and a few others that we since co-founded Home Hero for. So Home Hero then became its own little startup in itself. And as I learned these lessons in this holiday rental business and the mistakes I was making, we'd look at the system and go, well, how do we prevent others from making those same mistakes? How do we help guide them to not lose money on linen, to not get double bookings in this space as well? Around this time, Airbnb was obviously becoming very, very big. But here in Australia, it wasn't massive, and it had no technology partner in Australia, so no API connection. Yeah. So we were trying to figure out how we could bridge that availability gap, basically. Yeah. So myself and my wife and Rob and some of the other guys would go knock on Airbnb's door, would fly down and just knock on the door and ask them to talk to us. So gotcha. I actually think I annoyed Airbnb enough.
At the time, did they have any public APIs? No, it was all pretty closed up.
They had iCal links.
Yeah.
And so basically got to the point where I think we were bugging them so much that they agreed to give us an API access to Airbnb. And we actually were the first in Australia to do so. It was so early, it was actually on a notepad document. There was no API documentation.
Sure.
It's an old school type.
So developers like, oh, here's how it should work.
Yeah. And even that in itself was a big learning curve. And that's all it wanted to be at the beginning was how can we fix distribution? Hotels and then that whole part of our accommodation industry, they've had technology like your site minders, like your channel managers around for decades, but there was never really one for the holiday rental industry here in Australia. So we sort of found that gap. And that helped us obviously get the Home Hero off the ground, because a lot of people had the same problems that we were having at our property management business with my wife.
Yeah.
And over the years that started to grow, and started to meet new people, started to really put ourselves out there, try and make as many connections as we could. And that sort of really helped both businesses in that sense. It helped us grow.
That's fascinating. And it's so interesting because it's kind of like those really early days, right?
Yeah.
But those real early days weren't that long ago in hindsight, or if you look at the whole puzzle of the industry, like 10 years ago, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So you're building a business. We've got these problems that we need to fix. It's interesting now though, because that doesn't exist anymore, right? Like if you're building a property management business, you've got a plethora of different solutions that you're going to like ones that you've developed, ones that like we're sitting in a room right now. There's probably half a dozen different property management systems and pricing solutions and that sort of thing. So that doesn't exist anymore. I want to kind of just rewind just a tiny bit for a second, and I want to think about that sort of, you're building the property management side of the business, and then you've got the tech side going as well. And that's a really complicated thing to try to do, right? To try to achieve is to try to run those two businesses at the same 100%. Time. Can you kind of walk me through kind of what that looked like, or how you managed to, where were you putting all your time?
At the height of the growth, it was very intense, to be honest. We're doing 13, 16, 18-hour days.
Yeah.
So it was very intense. I was lucky enough that I started the holiday rental side of the business with my wife. So where I started to steer into the technology and post a lot of time towards that, Christy would take care of the day-to-day side of things, the linen, the cleaning, the movements and things like that. we were lucky with Home Hero in the sense that there's a group of us as well. It wasn't just me. You know, there was Anne, there's Rob, there's Kim as well. So we got to share that load quite a bit. So it's a lot easier for us to have not so much our lane, but our section of that business that we take care of instead of the entire business. So that allowed us to really focus on that. So I focused a lot on the support, the onboarding and the sales and the business development. And there's the trust accounting side of things. There's all that side. There's the different parts of the business that we're taking care of.
Yeah.
That made things easier for me to grow the holiday rental business. And, we didn't just pour everything into that and all our time into that. We did let it grow. The whole point originally was to make that our sole business. But then basically what it became, it lended itself to our technology company in such a positive way. We learned so much of what was needed to help to build the technology company. We kind of wanted to keep it at a certain level.
Yeah.
So we kept small. We stayed small for a little while, 10 to 20 properties. As the technology grew, we applied all those tools back into the business, and then it started to take off itself. It started to grow quite quickly itself.
Yeah. Wow.
Because we'd learned so much more than we had when we drove in that beat-up car around the road to that first client we found on Gumtree. And we knew what we need to do differently and how to pivot, and the importance of SEO and the website and brand knowledge. Lots of the stuff came as we grew. So we got to a certain point where, my wife and I had our first child, and then Christy stepped back and started to take a look at that child. So we started to connect with other team members and add team members to our property management business.
Yeah.
And they really, really helped basically. So that helped balance the time more. But there's definitely a time when it was very, very stressful and very, very, very tired for a long time.
And then, can you kind of plot the journey for me in terms of the growth of your property management business? So it sounds like that sort of first step towards a 10, 20 or 30 was how many time, and then you plateaued. What were the sort of the growth spurts?
Yeah, so there's some luck, some bad luck, and then there's some just people Obviously, if you're in business, you need to know as many people as you can, make as many connections as you can, build trust basically. Our first drop of luck, I'll call it, was unfortunately COVID. So we survived COVID. We managed to get through it, but a lot of businesses in the Gold Coast didn't.
Yeah.
They realized they didn't want the hassle of dealing with holiday rental because maybe short or long-term rental sales was their killer business.
Sure.
So we actually started approaching some Ray Whites and some real estate agents who had very small holiday rentals in the area just after COVID.
Yeah.
And a good chunk of them just didn't want to do it anymore. So we basically say, we'll take them on for you. We're happy to a revenue share for 3 months. We'll give you some of our commission as a sort of payment for taking them on.
Yeah.
And there's a good 3 or 4 agents that we gained about 25 to 30 properties from. And then we sort of gained momentum there because on the Gold Coast where we were based, there's a lot of investors, a lot of investment, and a lot of owners own a lot of properties. So you have owners that have 15 apartments in the same building. So getting in and getting in front of those people and then building that trust with those kind of clients as well is really important, because once you bring them on, they bring 15 properties on. Excuse me. And that again opens more doors for you as well. So it all came down to networking, luck with the unfortunate event that was COVID, but capitalizing on that in ways that we could. And then finally, we partnered with a real estate agency who basically wanted to keep the owners and the rentals under their own books, but we'd manage them as a sort of management company. So we did that for quite a while as well. And that it helped, we helped them grow that portfolio within our own. And that gave us, again, more momentum. So it just became a momentum game really for us, and making sure that we kept on it.
Yeah.
And obviously just keeping up with adding the new tools, refining the day-to-days, automate what you can, and learn from all the mistakes that we make every year.
Yeah, that's interesting. So ultimately, to me, I think that the common thread here is just building those relationships and having trusts, right?
Yeah.
Like it sounds like to me, like if your business was created 10 years ago, so the first four or 5 years, it really wasn't like a massive money maker. COVID comes along and then things start to change. But not because you'd forced the issue. And I imagine that had you not had the tech business, you would have probably grown there.
Absolutely.
Grown it in a completely different way. and then those opportunities came to you, and then you were in position at that stage to take advantage of them, right? That you were like, hey, we've got our systems, we've got our process. Can we do it? Yeah, sure, we can do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna add these properties on. And it's interesting as well because a lot of people do grow kind of organically, right? But it's kind of like word of mouth, referrals, and that sort of thing.
There's a bit of that, yeah.
But for you, it wasn't necessarily from homeowner to homeowner. It was more from within that community, within those real estate agents. Hey, you can solve a problem that they had at that particular time.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think a big part of some of our mantra is we just decided to say yes to everything, say yes to every opportunity, even if maybe it looked a bit, it could go bad for us. We just said yes to everything we could. You get approached by certain owners that want to try and do this, or get approached by a business that wants to try and do this with us. We picked up an apartment block in the Surfers Paradise, and that was run by the Royal Australian Air Force, and it was basically is basically a discounted accommodation platform for serving folk in Australia. And so we put our name in the hat, and we put together a whole plan for them, and then how we can help distribute that visual journey that they've got, and get more people staying in. And we actually managed to win that, and we started managing that whole apartment block and created a site for the Air Force holidays. We dealt with all the serving the people as well. It's really, really cool. So it was, again, just having your name in the hat, saying yes to all the opportunities. Some are going to be bad ones, but just say yes and then scope it out. I see a lot of businesses say, no, I don't think I can take that on right now.
Yeah.
I don't think I can handle that at the moment. There's too much going on. Those are the type of businesses I think that will grow slower, and they won't have that sort of growth because they're not looking at every opportunity they possibly can to grow.
But to play devil's advocate, you did grow slow anyway, then, right? Like it was such an arduous journey for you to get to that point where you had those
Until the
opportunities.
COVID point, then we really wanted that growth to happen. So
Right. So you think there was a bit of intentionality behind that as well?
yeah, there was. There was a good 3 or 4 years of slow growth, and we're happy we're keeping it there. And then the COVID side of it all happened, and there's basically a decision of, do we shut our own doors? And that was a stressful point, or like, do we capitalize it and really go, yes, let's go do it. And by that point, we did have staff, and we did have a lot of passionate people in the businesses who just wanted to take it further and grow it further. So that's when all the yeses to the opportunities came.
So I'm going to go to the acquisition part.
Sure.
We've got roughly about 5-10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Of course, we could talk about Home Hero and do another couple of episodes.
So,
But I want to focus on this part here because one of the key points I think that you said was that there was you, but there was also your wife.
yeah.
Who was kind of in the business a lot more probably than you because you had that sort of that split across the two. But
Yeah.
tell me about sort of working in partnership with somebody else and like the benefits of that. And if you were on your own, could you have done it? Should you have been doing it? What can people learn from that relationship?
There was always a partnership in the business. So once my wife had our first job, she went off obviously, and we became a mother and taking care of our child. I did end up actually partnering with another business, and basically around that point where I didn't really want to grow any further, and it was to serve Home Hero and its tools and building the products. We had essentially a wrecking party at one of our properties, and the house got destroyed basically, and it was via an OTA. They'd used stolen credit cards, all that sort of stuff. This is before all that verification technology came through. That none of that happened yet, and I realized I needed help, and basically we had a cleaning company that we were using for a lot of the businesses. And I decided that I don't really want to deal with the cleaning anymore, the linen and that side of the business. So I actually brought that cleaning company in to partner with us at Coast as well. So they kind of took the reins on that half of the business, and it kind of mirrors, like I mentioned before. Sorry to swing it back to Home Hero briefly. Of I didn't do Home Hero myself. We had our share of the business that we could focus on to ease the load essentially. So that was applied to Coast as well. We had someone else come in and ease that load on that cleaning side of the business, the maintenance side, the linen side. We didn't have to worry about that side anymore. And obviously then we get to the point where we hire staff members like maintenance team members, reception staff, all that sort of stuff. And they really fill those gaps as well.
So it's funny, right? I kind of feel that there's also that, when you get into parenthood or you have something quite dramatic happen where we don't have as much time anymore that needs must, right? And you've got to find a solution to keep things going.
Absolutely.
And then you dissipate the work, and then you probably wonder why you hadn't done it 6 months or a year before that.
That thing is a really good point. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned as a business owner is letting go. As you grow, you always want to hold on to everything as much as possible because you know what you want and you know what you need to do. Finding and trusting someone to take that off you has always been the biggest challenge for me. Even just talking to guests or talking to owners, I'd worry about what a new staff member would be saying to owners or if they're representing the company properly. So that was definitely the biggest challenge I had. And I think that held back the growth a lot as well, is not letting go of so much of what you holding on to. Once you find the right people you trust and you can see that they're benefiting the business, then you start to let go and then you start to realize, I'm seeing better results from them than I was giving the company. And then you find more people like that. And that really creates that momentum as well. Then you can go the other way where, all these staff members are doing such a good job and things are growing, but you can also hire too quickly. You can also grow too quickly in size of your team, and then you're going the other way. You're spending too much time.
I have the wrong hires as well, which can slow things down dramatically.
Exactly right. There's the whole journey of over hiring and under hiring as you grow. Where's the line meet up,
But also, one of the things you said is partnerships, right? It
exactly.
really does take something to start up a business with four founders or four people involved rather than one or two, which can have its benefits and downsides. So let's fast forward to wrap this episode up. Yep. So we built up a property management business through different methods. We got to how many towards the end of this journey?
145.
At 145 properties, and then we get into we're going to get acquired, we're going to sell this thing, we're going to do something with it. Take me through how that journey looked, maybe why that journey happened, maybe when it started, and any kind of insights that you think people might enjoy.
I guess the why of it is, again, back to a young family and kids and a wife, and both businesses had grown to such a good size that I think it was almost becoming too difficult to split that focus between the two. And a decision needed to be made where, I wanted to spend more time with my family. I knew Home Hero was the business that I want to stick with and grow further to meet more potential. And it's still my passion, my baby. So that was the decision behind selling Coast. I reached out to a few people that I knew in the industry. I spoke to, sort of whittled it down to two different potential buyers. They're both very interested. We sort of compared what the offers were, competed against each other a little on what pricing they could do. Ultimately, I went with Company A that purchased the business. Yeah. And that process in itself is very eye-opening. It's a new process for me too, but I've learned a lot from it in a very good way. So
I imagine as well that one of the things that I've learned, it's amazing to have people to talk to, and I'll count you as one of those people that I could talk to if ever I want to, sell something or do something. I go, hey, Hayden, how do I do this? And folks, if you're ever watching this podcast, you're wondering about the people I hang out with. Well, it's the people that I'm talking to, and that's how I figure out how to do things, because they've probably done it before, or share that journey, or know someone that has done this sort of thing before. And it's interesting. So you decided. So you're quite. So when did you sort of? When did the idea kind of float in your mind as like, hey, it's time to exit?
It's probably about 3 to 5 months before
exiting,
before the settlement. Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah,
that's really quick.
Yeah, it's.
I would have thought it'd be like a year, or to vet.
I'll correct myself. Sorry, we about 2 years ago we'd sort of entertained the idea. Okay. We got to a point where we'd had some offers, but we realized at the time, no, let's keep at it. Let's keep building it. Maybe the offer will be better in 2 years' time.
Gotcha.
We understood that part of the very beginning of the process then.
Yeah.
And that made that decision a little bit easier. So we kind of knew what we were starting to get into. And then I think this year, external events, just as life in general.
Yeah.
Kind of just to the point where I'm ready to roll.
Okay,
Let's do it.
awesome. Okay, so good. So 2 years ago, there was the first flirting
The flirting, good term.
with the idea.
Yeah.
Quite often I've heard from a lot of operators that have flirted with the idea, and then they realize that what their wants and desires or expectations are nowhere near what they're going to achieve in terms of valuation of the company, or how the business is structured and that sort of thing. And they say, all right, oh yeah, it would be good to sell in 2 or 3 years, but if we pull X, Y, and Z trigger, we might be able to get a much better result than where we're at. Was that kind of the thinking, or was it a bit different?
It was yeah. I love the term flirting. We were flirting with the idea. And once we understood how an offer was made, or how the offer amount was, it sort of, if anything, it spurred us to go, actually, no, I know how to get that higher now. What's the multiple? Is it on EBITDA? Is it on profit? So we understood more about what that meant. So you start cutting down your expenses a little bit, your EBITDA goes up and your multiple are higher. So just think about all that sort of stuff, grow the books a bit more. And then in 2 years' time, that's going to be a more attractive offer again.
Yeah.
So that sort of was our thinking there. And
it's the education part, right? So it's just basically learning, and then learning as you're doing it, and then you learn. You're like, okay, this is what we're going to have to do in the future. And I think, I consult with a lot of people, and they very often I'll talk to them about that. I'm like, hey, it's all good and well that we're working in the business right now, doing all this stuff, but what are you going to do in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? I'm like, now's the time to have a think about how you're going to structure the business, where you want to get to, so that when that moment comes, you're not sitting there going, now we have to start again and figure it all out.
Yeah.
Like, just stay educated, stay ahead of the game, so that what creates value to a potential investor in your business when it comes to sell it.
No, that's spot on. I couldn't agree more. But yeah, it's been a crazy journey, that's for sure.
Well, congratulations! I'm really happy for you, and it's really something to be able to, like. We are, of course, acquaintances who become friends.
Yeah.
But, in January, I remember you telling me about it. I remember just having a big smile on my face. I was like, congratulations, that's really cool, because it is a big achievement. There's not that many deals that happen in the world, and it takes a lot of courage and guts to build a business than to sell it and to have that journey. So congratulations.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Well done. And the other nice thing is, it's quite often when people sell, then that's the end of their journey, right? They're like, yeah, cool, thanks a lot, see you later. And after 6, 12 months, you get less and less emails and stuff like that. When they come back, but this isn't a goodbye from you. It's I'll be working more into the home hero side of things and that kind of business.
Yeah, that's good. It's going to be, I think, adapting to a lifestyle I've had for 10 years, and that suddenly stopping is probably been the biggest change for me. Is
what do you do now?
What do I do with my hands? Looking around for something that's no longer there is a big change. I think it's going to take months for me to adapt to that, but
maybe
it's why I did it as well.
Maybe some golf.
Take the kids out more, that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, folks, Hayden D'Arcy, we're here at Astra, here to stay. Look, thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cheers, Matt.
Take it easy.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you.